In 2025, Nigeria's digital economy grew at a remarkable speed and cybercrime kept pace. Organizations across sectors dealt with a noticeable increase in attacks, ranging from AI-powered scams and ransomware incidents to identify fraud affecting everyday users. Over the course of the year, a clear pattern emerged. Attackers were becoming more sophisticated and faster moving, while regulators were signaling that leniency was coming to an end. The introduction of the Nigeria Data Protection Act, General Application Implementation Directives reflected this shift, moving the conversation from intention and awareness to accountability and enforcement. Looking ahead to 2026, we ask, will these pressures ease? Well, Tope Aladenusi, Africa cybersecurity leader at Deloitte, is here to answer that question. Good morning and thank you for joining me today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So I asked the question, will that pressure ease in 2026? But I would like you to give us a background by telling us, what shaped 2025 and what we should be expecting in 2026.
Yeah, for 2025, we saw rising attacks for ransomware and rising attacks, through phishing, where you try to fake users to divulge their information. We also saw a rise in third-party attacks. So right now, we have many companies that are connected. For instance, you want to do a transfer, to your bank, from your bank, sometimes to another bank. They are all connected. So we have many companies that are interconnected, and we are seeing a rise in attack of those connections. And moving into 2026, we are seeing a similar pattern whereby companies are being attacked. Their softwares that they design, their internet banking platforms, their mobile applications, or their internet point of presence that they have out there, they are being exploited and information are being taken from it. And when the attackers take this information, they're asking them to come and pay, some money, so the kind of extortion for them to be able to, release back their data to them or not divulge it to the public. And sometimes they ask for as much as 250,000 pounds. Sometimes as much, at least 500 million naira from what we have seen so far, whereby if people take the data, when these attackers take the data, they ask for this kind of money. And the other leg is the ransomware, whereby they try to break into a system and they run a program that's kind of lock the entire systems, something you can call cyber kidnapping. So they kidnap your entire system, kidnap the data, kidnap your emails, kidnap your application systems, your payment systems, so that you cannot do business. And they ask you to pay a ransom for that to be released. And we still see also a rise in third-party attacks. So all this interconnection, we now have an ecosystem in Nigeria. We're doing very well with payments, and we are so interconnected, and those connections are being attacked. We call it a man-in-the-middle attack. So people are in the center.
Say that again?
Man-in-the-middle attack.
Man in the middle? Okay.
Yes, so I'm sending money from one place to the other, and somebody's in the middle trying to intercept it or trying to move it to somewhere else.
How much of that did we really see in Nigeria?
We're seeing that a lot right now. It's becoming a major issue. Recently, and how do we know that it's happening? The internet consists of 3 layers. We have the surface web, we have the deep web, and we have the dark web. Now, the surface web is where you have access to by just browsing. For instance, anybody can access, like when you use a Google or your social media profile. Those are the surface web. Then we have the deep web, where you need to log in to see what's going on. Like when you log into your internet banking transactions, internet banking profile or your email, when you log in, and people cannot easily access it using a Google search. They need to have some login. That's the deep web. Then we have the dark web. Now this is this is a place where there is anonymous discussion. People can discuss, and it's now become like an underground economy, whereby when hackers, penetrate companies, they go there to sell the information, to trade, to discuss, and to sometimes publish it. Now, if by virtue of our competence, by the way, Deloitte is I don't know if you're aware that we have been ranked #1 in cybersecurity for the last 14 consecutive years globally. Now, by virtue of our scale and our size, we are able to see what is going on in the dark web.
But
and based on what we see, we can see that there is a lot of attacks going on right now in Nigeria.
All right, before we move on, I'm just wondering, can we fault these organizations for probably not putting enough measures in place? Maybe they didn't take to maybe they didn't do enough due diligence, or there are no guardrails in place to prevent these things from happening? What exactly is the issue, and how can we begin to deal with them?
Well, that's a very good observation, and it's part of what for instance, the Nigerian Data Protection Commission has been trying to do. There have been some high-profile attack this month, and they've issued a statement that they are investigating, and that they're trying to see what exactly happened, and to be sure that those companies put the right protective measures in place. But what we are asking for is that let us move from commentary to consequences. Every time we hear people come and say, okay, we are doing something, we're investigating, but it has to move from just giving commentaries to actual consequences. We have seen some already. We have seen instances whereby some companies were fined, but from the look of things, more needs to be done.
That's interesting. So for 2026, what are we saying? I mean, on the one hand, we might want to say that maybe the regulator is beginning to act, but do you think the regulator is probably catching up?
Yeah, well, in every part of the world, regulators always catch up because cybersecurity is moving at the speed of light, at the speed of AI. Cyber attack is moving at the speed of AI, and regulators are moving at the speed of how they move. So they generally across the globe, we play catch up. But what we are saying is that we need to be more proactive. So I think our regulators have done well. They've been able to put the right frameworks in place. And in terms of framework, we're not doing badly at all. But right now, what we want to see is more of implementation of the framework, penalizing those companies that are not doing what they need to do, and ensuring that there is coordination, proactive coordination and collaboration. Because what we are seeing is that an attacker attacks company A or a bank A and goes to bank B, use the same skill, the same tricks that they use to attack bank A or company A to attack bank B or company B. So if there is very strong collaboration, we are sharing information, then when we know what has happened to bank A or company A, we can easily prevent it. They have started doing that. We've seen some kind of information sharing, but it can get better. It can be more faster because these guys are very fast.
Absolutely. So since these guys are very fast, what are the things that will shape 2026? I think you have a report that talks about 6 of them or so.
Yes. So in this year, we are looking at, first of all, we expect that there should be a combination of human and AI-powered defenses, the same way the attackers are now using AI to attack. In those days, they take about 3 months to build some scripts. Now they can build it in 3 hours because of AI. So defenses also needs to be scaled up. We are also expecting zero trust preventive mechanism. And what that means is that in the past, many companies operated with a principle called trust but verify. In other words, for instance, as a staff, we allow you that, oh, you're our staff, but we will check what you're doing from time to time. But right now, we are saying we don't trust anybody, even though you are staff, because research have shown that over 60% of attacks that happen, cyber attacks, are from insiders. And even in Nigeria, from our experience, it's about 80 to 90%. So
you say 80 to 90%?
Yes, most of the cyber attacks that happen, somebody inside the organization was involved. Yeah, so we are seeing a move from the principle of trust but verify to zero trust. In other words, we don't trust anyone. We are also seeing ransomware and phishing, which I experienced ransomware just some minutes ago. We're seeing that escalate. We're also seeing increased scrutiny by the regulators, actually. Regulators are beginning to hold companies accountable.
I mean, we know the banking sector recently,
yeah.
They just,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's worthy of note because apart from the banking sector and maybe recently the telecom sector, and maybe many of the regulators are sleeping, when it comes to cybersecurity, most of them are sleeping. They're not doing what they need to do. And cybersecurity is going beyond the banks. Right now, everyone can be affected. We're also seeing that in terms of trends, we are seeing that government systems are being attacked, and the attack will escalate as we approach the election period, because for many times people, attack systems not just for money, but to prove a cause. So we're going to elections. They want to test the systems, test the voter systems, test the coalition systems, test whoever is involved in that chain, in that value chain. And we are seeing that rise in those particular attacks. Yeah.
All right, so talking about companies now, are we seeing a shift in the way they view cybersecurity from just an IT thing to something even more important?
We have seen a shift largely in the financial services institution. Some of them are doing the right things, but outside that, outside the FSI industry, we are noticing that many of the others are still very far behind. They are still thinking of cybersecurity as maybe it's a technical thing or an IT thing. And unfortunately, they are now, when they are now breached, or they are being asked to come and pay 1 billion, 500 million naira, and what took you several weeks or months to achieve, you are now losing it in one day because of cyber attack. Many of them are now trying to play catch up. But a good soldier prepares for war in the time of peace. So I believe that many of the other industries, they need to do much more than they're doing. And even the financial services institution, although they are more advanced than the rest for obvious reasons, but again, there's still much more to be done.
All right, so talk to us. Do we have talent gap? Is that an issue?
Yeah, talent gap is a major issue. Actually, it's a global issue. There was a report that was published by ISC2. ISC2 is the largest association of cybersecurity professionals globally. And the report was published last year, and it was noted that there are about 4.8 million cybersecurity vacancies in the world. That means there are jobs and there are no people. It's even worse in Nigeria because the people that we have here who are skilled are largely emigrating. So we build competencies and then they go abroad. And so you can have the best of systems, you can have the best of processes, you can have the best of governance structures, but it's people that make them work. We always say something in Deloitte that a fool with a tool is still a fool. So you may have the best of tools, but if it's been operated by fools, nothing has changed. So capacity building, talent is a major issue, and is something that we are seeing as a big gap in Nigeria, and we're encouraging young people to come in, and I think it's something every company should do. One of the things we do in Nigeria is that we always like to hire people who are experienced, but we need to give internship opportunities to these young guys who are coming. From my experience, they are very bright. The guys I hired 10 years ago, what it took them 1 year to achieve or to understand, these guys understand in 1 month.
Oh, well, they have the Internet of Things and some other things working for them.
Exactly. So what they need is exposure, and I think it's something we need to do collectively, and the government need to do something very important about this, because it's a massive shortage of talent in cybersecurity that we have globally and in Nigeria, and you cannot fight this war with tools only. You need people to put everything together and make them work.
Absolutely. That sounds like a good place to end the conversation. But just before we go, let me get your parting shot on this.
All right. I will say that cyber attack is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Everyone will be attacked, whether you're an individual or you're a company or you're a government. So it's how do you prepare yourself for that attack, to know when you are being attacked, to try to prevent it, and if it's successful, to detect it and bounce back. These are the things that every company should be doing right now. Every company should go back and do a health check to say, how we healthy as far as cyber is concerned? Can we detect things when they go wrong? And can we bounce back? These are the realities that we need to do, because you cannot afford to work so hard and lose your hard earnings at the click of a button.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Tope Aladenusi, Africa cybersecurity leader, Deloitte. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.